Hey, what is going on, everybody? This is Beanie, and welcome back to another video. I know, guys. You don't fucking have to say anything in the comments. I've been getting comments on old videos being like, "Fucking come back, Beanie." I know. I'm sorry, but seriously, guys, I have missed a lot of time, and I have missed a lot of signature cards to review. I've missed a lot of streams. But I'm going to be rectifying that over the course of this weekend and going into next week. We're going to start streaming more probably on Sunday. That seems to be like the best time for me. And then some next week. And over the course of this weekend, I am going to be putting out all of the reviews of the signature cards that I have missed in about the last month that I've been not on YouTube. I think I've missed like 25 signature cards, so it's a lot. And SDS did not make my job any easier today. They put out a shit ton of new signature cards. They came out with this freaking thing, this 40,000 stub pack, where you have a chance to get a bunch of 99 overall signature cards. It's freaking insane. They have 5 99 overalls. They have a few 96 and 98 and 95, and then the 88 Rick Ankiel. I guarantee you're either going to be getting the 88 Rick Ankiel or the Russell Martin. There will be like 2 people a piece that gets these cards right here. But, you know, I digress. Whatever. It is what it is. But I will be reviewing all of these cards today, as well as the flawless rewards for the new Battle Royale that I need to get on and go after immediately, because I know that they are going to sell very, very quickly. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. This is a long intro. God, man, there are just so many good cards right now that I'm going to have to rethink how I do my fag formula. I think I might have to make it more strict, because, like, these cards are insane. They're just ridiculous, man. Okay, I think we're going to start out with the best of the best, and we're going to start with the relief pitchers that were released today, because in my opinion, those are the best cards that came out, were the new relief pitchers, and there are 2 of them. The first one is the 99 overall Kenley Jansen, and I gotta say, this, right now, in my opinion, this is the best reliever in the game. I know that the Billy Wagner is really good. I know that the Goose Gossage is good. I know they're like Dennis Eckersley is okay. There are a bunch of like really good relievers right now, but I don't think there's another reliever that puts it all together like this one does. I mean, I can't find many flaws with this card. First off, 121, 125 hitting K per 9. Almost flawless, not quite, but pretty damn close. And then you have the 91 walk per 9 to go with it, the 85 home run per 9. You're going to be able to suppress home runs. You're going to be able to hit your spots. And then the stuff, 99 velo, 99 break, obviously perfect, but we don't know exactly which pitches that those attributes go to. I would suspect it's the cutter and the slider, but I don't know that for a fact. And then you look at the pitch selection, and this is where this card really starts to separate from the live series Kenley, because I gotta be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of the live series Kenley Jansen. He only has 3 pitches and only 1 off-speed pitch, and it's really, he can be kind of tough against righties, but against lefties, he's really not that bad. But this card's a game changer, because they gave him, did they give him the 4-seam or the sinker? I want to say they gave him the sinker. The other one might have a sinker too, I don't know, but they gave him one of those 2 pitches, and then they gave him a changeup, which will give you a much, much, much better time versus left-handed pitching, or left-handed hitting, I'm sorry. I don't know how good that changeup is going to be. I know that they came out with a rookie Jansen. I think that was like an 87 overall a few years ago, and that ended up being like one of the best relievers in MLB 17, I think it was. But it wasn't nearly as good as this card is, and I suspect that this card's changeup will be a little bit better than that one's as well, because that one's changeup wasn't very good. It was just the threat of that changeup that made it so much better. So if this changeup is even halfway decent, this card is going to be borderline unhittable, and for those reasons, I ended up giving him a fag of a 9.7. The other reliever that they came out with was the 98 overall Eric Gagne, and this card is, once again, it's unbelievable. It's probably a top 3 reliever at this point, maybe top 4. But I don't think it's quite up to par with the Jansen, and there are a few reasons why. First, the hidden K per 9, it's right up there with Jansen, a little bit lower, but you know, it's a marginal difference, really kind of negligent, not that big of a deal. He has better home run per 9, but a little bit worse walk per 9, which is fine. That's no big deal. Once again, man, the Dodgers have really churned out some good relievers in the past. They've just churned out good players, period. Then the stuff. This is where the Jansen kind of separates himself from the Scania, in my opinion. The stuff isn't quite as good as the Jansen's. He only has 89 velocity. He's going to be running it up there about 97, 96, 97, whereas that Jansen has much better movement on his fastballs, and he throws it a little bit harder. And then the break, his break is right up there with the Jansen's, and he does have more traditional off-speed pitches. Like, he has that big loopy curveball that is very, very difficult to square up, along with a slider, a splitter, and a Vulcan change. And the pitch selection is also where this card kind of feels inferior to the Jansen, because while the Jansen has that cutter and sinker to fall back on, two of the hardest pitches in the game to square up, this card just has a straight fastball. Now, I will say that he does have a very deceptive delivery to go along with that fastball, so that could make a big difference. And then he has the Vulcan change and the splitter that are only 2 miles per hour apart. They have very similar trajectories. In my opinion, they're going to be basically the same pitch. They might have a little bit of a depth difference as far as like when they break and things like that, but for the most part, it's going to be basically the same pitch. And then he has the slider and the curveball. Now, I know I'm poo-pooing this card a little bit, but the only reason I'm doing that is to differentiate him from the Jansen and to justify why I'm giving this card a lower grade. This card is amazing. This card is phenomenal, and for all the reasons I listed, you know, the bad stuff and the good stuff, I ended up giving this card a fag of a 9.4. Okay, let's move on to the position players who, in my opinion, just don't quite measure up to the relief pitchers, but still, there were some really compelling and intriguing cards that were released that I think can help your team out a lot. And the first one is the 99 overall Miniminosa. You earn this card through Battle Royale, so he is going to be very expensive on the market, at least for a while. And for good reason. This card is a 5-tool player. He has all 5 tools or above average, and he can really hit. The one thing that I really like about this card is the 125 vision to go along with the elite level contact. And then he also has some power, the 8276 power. That's pretty good. You know, there are cards out there with better power, but it's a very respectable number that you can put on that. In the field, he is okay. You know, for a left fielder, I would say he's really good. I wouldn't play this card in center field at this point in the season. There are so many good defensive center fielders that I would kind of, you know, put this guy in a corner and preferably left field, because he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. And the 77 reaction, I'm not sure how well that would play in center field. The speed, though, the 87 speed could play out there, but still, I don't see any justification for that. You're going to play this card in left field, or you could play this card at third base if you have a hole there as well. And that's another thing. In my fag formula, I usually don't award points for speed, because speed typically isn't something that's very important to left fielders. That was one issue that I ran into whenever I was grading the Ricky Henderson card. And I ended up giving that Ricky Henderson some bonus points because of the speed, and I'm going to do the same for this card. I'm going to give him a small boost for his utility, because he can play third base as well. That does add some value to this card, and he can run. So yeah, that adds some, you know, not a ton, but a little bit of value to this card. For all those reasons, I ended up giving this card a grade of a 9.0. Next up, we have the 99 overall Gary Carter, and man, catching depth in past years has been a big issue. It was really hard to find good catchers without spending a lot of stubs to get them or doing ridiculous grinds to get them. This year, that has not been a problem. And this card is right now, in my opinion, I would say he's probably the second best catcher in the game. I don't think I've reviewed that Yadier Molina yet. That's going to be coming up this weekend, and we'll see where they line up together. But it's going to be pretty tough for that Yadier to pass this card, because this card has power to go along with elite vision and really, really good contact. He's an all-around hitter. He is a righty. He hits, he can hit both sides, lefties and righties, just as good. 93-90 versus righties. That's maybe a little lower than you want to see versus, for a 99 overall signature card. But you got to remember, he is a catcher, and sometimes, you're willing to sacrifice just a little bit of offense in order to get the elite defense. And this guy does provide a really high level of defense. He's not quite up there with the Yadier or the Ivan Rodriguez, but he does have 90 blocking. He has 90 arm strength, which is really what you're wanting out of your catcher. He has good fielding, 89. Doesn't have the speed that Ivan Rodriguez does, but I think it's a little better than the Yadier's. Good card all around, and for all those reasons, I ended up giving him a fag of a 9.2. That is a bit, I would say that is a bit scaled up because he is a catcher. If this card were a third baseman or a first baseman or something like that, then it would probably be substantially lower. But because he is a catcher, I think 9.2 is about right, just because right now they're past the top like 4 guys. There really aren't that many great catchers. Up next, we have the Ryne Sandberg card, and this card kind of reminds me of the Gary Carter with a little bit of speed for some reason. I don't know. I've always just kind of put those two together. I guess it's because they've always had diamond cards in Diamond Dynasty that weren't very good, and now finally they have cards that are good, because from an attribute standpoint, they're just vaguely similar to each other. But I like this card. I don't know how many people are really going to use this card, because I think a lot of people just got a free Roberto Alomar card, and I think that card is better than this card. So I'm not super hyped on the Ryne Sandberg, but it is a really good card if you ended up going a different direction. I think maybe if you ended up getting a Verlander or something like that out of the third inning program. And there are some things that this card has over the Roberto Alomar. Now, I prefer the Roberto because he's a switch hitter, but this card does have more power. He has mid-80s power, and for a second baseman, that's really good. And he has that to go along with 114 vision and really good contact, just below elite contact. He's fantastic defensively, 92 fielding, 84 reaction, and 78 arm strength. 78 arm strength is fine for second base. You don't need anything more than that. Anything else is just like a cherry on top. And then he has 80 speed to go with 93 stealing. Once again, a 5-tool guy all the way around. Really nice card, and I ended up giving him an overall fag of an 8.9. That does feel a little low considering he can also play third base. Might bump that up to 9.1, but for right now, I think I'm going to stick with an 8.9. Next up, we have the 99 overall Joey Votto. 99s everywhere. Everyone gets a 99. And this Votto card, I gotta admit, I'm not that hyped on this Joey Votto card. And there's one specific reason why, and it seems incredibly silly, and a lot of you guys in the comments are going to call me super silly for this. It's the 92 vision. And I know that you guys are like, 92, what the fuck are you talking about? 92 vision is great. But why are you bummed out about that? It's because whenever you're playing in the World Series and you're facing Nolan Ryan and Clayton Kershaw and Justin Verlander and all these cards that have like 120 hitting K per 9, or the Kenley Jansen in the later innings, 92 vision isn't going to help your PCI that much. It's not going to be that big. It's going to be, I mean, it'll be reasonably big, but me personally, I need a bigger PCI, so that's why I typically give extra points to guys that have that 120 vision that I can kind of fall back on. It gives you a much bigger margin for error when you're hitting. And the 92 vision on this card, it's good and it's reasonable. It's acceptable. It's not going to, It's not going to hurt you. It's just not going to help you that much once you get to the higher levels. Now, if you're in the DS or the CS or whatever, it's probably not going to hurt you that bad. And I'm probably, making peanuts over nothing here. And this card's going to be fantastic because he does have 117 contact, 100 power versus righties. He has 107.92 versus lefties. But right now, I got the Frank Thomas, and I'm rolling with the Frank Thomas, and I don't think that I would spend stubs on this card to replace him, even though this card does have better defense, and he is a lefty, which I typically prefer left-handed first baseman. So yeah, I don't know. I think this card has a lot to offer. I think that there will be guys that fall in love with this card and do great with him, better than I do with the Frank Thomas maybe. But for right now, I'm just not sold that this is the card for me. But I do think it's a really good card, and for all those reasons, I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.8. Next up, we have the 99 overall George Brett, and see, this card is more my speed. This is the type of card that I look at and I'm like, all right, I can see it here because he's left-handed. He has good enough power to be able to drive the ball out of the ballpark and hit some gappers for doubles and stuff like that. And then he has that sexy-ass 125 vision to go along with it. You're never going to have any PCI problems. He has phenomenal contact to go with that. He's good defensively. Not blazing fast, but 69, 61, that's enough for you to be functional on the base paths. Just a good solid card all around. And the big PCI is going to be a really big help for me, and I would assume for you as well. But there are things that the Votto does better. He does have more power. And yeah, so I should say there are things that Votto does better, and he has more power. But personally, I tend to like this card a little bit better. For all those reasons, I ended up giving this card a fag of a 9.0. Next up, we have the 96 overall Curtis Granderson, and this card runs into the same problem that the Votto does. And this card's even a bigger version of that, and it's the 79 vision, man. And he doesn't have dramatic platoon splits, but 76-91, typically out of a higher rated signature card, you want to see better versus lefties. Against righties, he's really good, 94-100, with that 79 vision. It's going to allow you to be pretty consistent against righties, especially when you have that 83 speed with 82 stealing to fall back on. This is going to be a good card. But the 79 vision, it's just not for me. I've got to have better than that. And I know that there are a lot of guys that run out there with Mike Trout having 49 vision or whatever he has, or Eric Davis having really bad vision, and they do fine with it. And if you can do that, then this card is probably a card that you need to go out and get because he's really great at everything else. But for me, a guy that needs a bigger PCI, the vision is a bit of a problem. And I know it's kind of silly because if this were MLB 18 or MLB 17, I would have looked at that 79 vision and I would have been like, oh my God, this card's amazing. But now I've been so spoiled to having guys with 120 vision that and massive PCIs, or facing guys or facing, elite pitchers and using Ronald Acuna up there with terrible vision and not doing well at all. I've had those experiences so often this year that I don't I'm scared to go with anyone under 100 vision, because I struggle so much with them typically. Some guys are an exception, but typically I do. But this card is great. He's another 5-tool guy. Other than the vision, I think that this is going to be a good card to go after. I also don't think he's going to be all that expensive once the dust settles around all of these cards. So for all those reasons, I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.5. Yeah, I think that's about right. I don't think he's among the best of the position players that were released, but I do think he's really good. Next up, we have the 98 overall Keith Hernandez, and This is the type of card that I usually say that I like, but the one major flaw with this card is the lack of power and the fact that he's a first baseman. He's not devoid of power. He's probably going to hit very similarly to, let's say, like the Tony Gwynn or the Eno Slaughter. This card kind of reminds me of those guys in a lot of ways, except that he's a first baseman. And if you have a first baseman, you need to be hitting dingers a lot. That's going to be one of your biggest sources of power. And this card is not going to provide that. He's going to provide you a guy that can get on base a lot, but you're going to have to look elsewhere for majestic power. There are some benefits to this card. One, you are going to get probably the best defensive first baseman in the game. I can almost say definitely the best defensive first baseman in this game. You're going to be getting, elite vision, big PCIs, good discipline. He's going to be a good hitter, but he's just not going to be the right kind of hitter for a first baseman. But I can't shit on this card too much. I think that he is going to be good, and I have to give him a good fag formula just based off of the attributes that are presented to me. For those reasons, I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.5, same as the Curtis Granderson. But man, I wish that this card were like a shortstop or a center fielder or something like that, because if he were, he'd be a lot better. But at first base, it's hard to justify, Next up, we have the ultimate budget catcher, and that's the 95 overall Russell Martin. If you need a catcher for under 30,000 stubs, this is probably the guy that I would go with, provided that Jimmy Fox isn't lower. I don't know, where is Jimmy Fox? There he is. Oh no, Jimmy Fox is about the same price. So if this guy goes lower than 20,000 stubs, then maybe this is the guy that you want to go with. And I think he might. I think that this card may settle in around 15,000 subs. I don't think he's going to be that expensive. But he's not that great. I mean, he's just not. Compared to what we have in the game right now, I mean, I would even take this, this Brian McCann, in my opinion, is a much better option than this Russell Martin, because that Brian McCann is left-handed. But doesn't mean this card is bad. He has 93 vision, which, for this card being a catcher and being cheaper and stuff like that, not too bad. He has 84, 86 contact, 79, 83 power. He's just a really good hitter. He's not, maybe even just above average as a hitter. He's not going to be great by any stretch of the imagination. On defense, he is going to be great, but probably not as good as Yadier, Gary Carter, or Ivan Rodriguez. This is the ultimate budget guy. If you are on a budget and you need to find a solid catcher for a reasonable amount of stubs and nothing insane, this is the guy to go to. But if you're looking for high production and a guy that's going to just really wow you, probably not this guy. And for all those reasons, I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.1. I'm about to blow y'all's mind, but I really like this Rick Ankiel card. I do. I don't see that many problems with this card. I really don't. The one thing that stands out immediately is the really low walk per 9, but I get by with Nolan Ryan, and I know this card isn't Nolan Ryan, but I can get by with it. I mean, I can make it work. But man, there's a lot to like about this card. There really is. First off, another issue is the 89 stamina. He's not going to be able to go for that long, and it is kind of weird that they put Rick Ankiel into the game in the first place. He is a really good hitter. Holy shit. I forgot that Rick Ankiel was a position player too. Dude, Rick Ankiel could be a meta card. He really could. With 77 contact, 84 power, this card is meta. Oh, shit. Go get Rick Ankiel, man. He can serve as like a pinch hitter or something. But no, can you pinch hit starting pitchers? I don't think you can. But anyway, this card is good. I like it. He has 92 hit per 9, 102 K per 9. He has 83 velocity, 92 break. He has a good four-seam fastball that he throws at 96. He has a big loopy curveball. Throws it a little harder than that Eric Gagne, but it's still pretty good. He has a nice little sinker with good break. And then the slider and the changeup to finish it off. He has good pitch selection, decent stuff, really good per 9s for an 88 overall. Probably some of the best per 9s for an 88 overall in the game. lot to like about this card. And then you add on top of that he's probably like the best or the second best hitting pitcher in the game right now, maybe other than Babe Ruth. This card is kind of sexy. For 23,000 stubs, if you're running a budget squad and you can't go out and win Battle Royale 24/7, pick up Rick Ankiel. This card is going to be on your team for a while. I can almost guarantee you that. I like this card a lot. For all those reasons, I ended up giving him, at first I gave him a score of an 8.3. I'm going to bump that up to an 8.5. That hitting, I think that hitting gives him a bit of an edge, because like that's a functional hitter in your lineup. That is not a hole in your lineup at all. So yeah, I'm going to give him an 8.5. I think he's that good. So yeah, that is going to do it for all of the new signature cards. I know that there is a 95 overall Adam Wainwright card. I was going to grade that, but I could not find him in the inventories because no one has unlocked him yet. He is part of, I think, Twin Gaming's Moments. So go and do that. He is a signature card. Let's see if he has. Oh, he has. He has. Okay, give me just a minute. Holy crap, guys, this is a good pitcher. This is a good free card that you can go out and get. I think this is a guy that can stick in your rotation for a good while. I really do. Okay, so let's talk about this card. First off, the hit and K per 9 are concerning. 88, 86, that's not usually where you want a signature level pitcher, especially at the high levels, but he does have some things to offset that. First off, the high walk per 9 and the high home run per 9. 94, 93, that's elite. That's very, very good. And then the stuff, 86 velo, 98 break, doesn't jump off at the page at you, but then you look at his pitch selection and his primary pitch is a sinker, and I know from experience with Adam Wainwright that he has a very, very nice sinker that's very deceptive, especially when you tunnel it with an 89-mile-an-hour cutter, and then you have that big loopy curveball, and then you have the changeup to go along with it, just so you can effectively pitch to left-handed pitchers. The total package, I think, is a guy that could stick in a World Series caliber lineup in rotation. I really do. I'm going to do Twins Moments. This will be the first one that I've done out of all of the, the content creators moments. Yeah, I'm going to do his. I'm going to get this card and I'm going to stick him in my rotation. I think he's really good. I would suggest that you do the same. I ended up giving him an overall FAG of an 8.8. I think that's about right. He's very good. So 2 Cardinals pitchers, along with 2 Dodgers relievers. Really good pitchers released today. So yeah, I'm excited, guys. I'm excited to be back. I hope that you're excited to have me back. And yeah, I love you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. But until then, peace.